I'm going to be honest. I really want to get my hands on your business, and not in the way that might sound, but I do want to help. Not in a detached, listen to my podcast and hopefully you'll get some golden nuggets out of it way. I want us to work together. I want to be involved. And there are some of my programs and packages that allow us to work in that way together to really align your strategy, your actions, and your goals. So if you know that now is the time to get stuck into your business strategy, to get mentorship, support, and hand-holding, as well as practical advice and feedback, I would love for us to explore how we might be able to do that together. Whether it's joining my takeoff program to get you to the point where you are attracting leads and making sales more consistently, whether it's through the accelerator to help you really narrow in on where your leverage points are to scale your business beyond 6 figures and further, or whether it's that high touch, high connection, one-on-one experience of working together as a VIP. I invite you to send an email to me at support@tashcorbin.com. Tell me what your goals are, tell me what you need help with, and let's look at how we might be able to work together. I would love to provide the mentorship, guidance, feedback, and advice that you need to know exactly where you need to focus right now to get it implemented and done and to get your business taking off and scaling. There's no obligation and there's no hard selling. I genuinely just want to make sure that I'm across what's going on for you and that you know what the options are for us to potentially be working together. And of course, if I have free resources that might be able to support you, I will point you in the direction of those as well. So get in touch, send that email to support@tashcorbin.com, and I really look forward to hearing from you. Now more than ever, when I ask people how they are, one of the most consistent answers that I get is that they are busy. There is too much to do and not enough time. They have been working really hard and they feel like this year is getting away from them. But I want to take a moment to recognize that not all jobs and tasks are created equal. And if you're busy doing things that aren't moving you forward, technically you're on a treadmill, you're on the hamster wheel. And so in this episode of the Heart-Centered Business Podcast, I want us to get honest about whether you're on the hamster wheel or not, how to tell, and what to do about it. Plus, I have an exciting announcement that I cannot wait to share with you. So let's dive into this one. It's episode number 525 of the Heart-Centered Business Podcast, which means you can find all the relevant links and the show notes for today's episode over at tashcorbin.com/525. Hello, I'm Tash Corbin, a business strategist and mentor based on the Sunshine Coast in Australia. The mission of this podcast is to help heart-centered entrepreneurs to make more money and in doing so, change the world for the better. This podcast was recorded on the lands of the Gubbi Gubbi and Jinnaburra people. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. There are so many things that we do on a regular basis. There are so many parts of being a business owner that feel quite repetitive, whether it is thinking time, learning time, creation, tidying things up, redoing things, updating existing assets and content, creating plans, making decisions, strategizing. Progress in business isn't always pretty, and it doesn't necessarily happen in a vacuum either. So it can be challenging to know whether the things you're doing are moving you forward and making progress, or are you just running on the spot? Are you in a hamster wheel? When days and weeks start to look similar to each other, how do you know that it's actually moving you forward? For me, it comes down to my results. My results and my income in particular don't always have to be increasing in order to be improving. But one of the things that I look at in my business consistently is, am I moving closer to my vision of what I want my business and life to look like in the long term? Progress for me is not measured by my effort. It's not even measured by the assets I've created, the outputs that I've generated, or how busy I am. Instead, I look to my results. Are my results improving overall? Are my actions actually contributing to that improvement? Or would the results have improved even if I wasn't involved? It's important for us to stop and take stock regularly and strategically as business owners. I've previously shared on this podcast that in 2017, at the end of the year, I realized that I had 36 different ways that people could buy from me and work with me. And the one that made the most income was my takeoff program. And yet, when I looked back at 2017, I had not launched it once. I had not done a webinar that pointed people to joining the takeoff program. The thing that contributed the most to my results for that year was something I had neglected and ignored in my marketing and sales efforts. So how on earth did I get to the end of 2017 feeling like I'd had a very productive year and I had worked very hard, and yet the things I did were not the things that created the largest income for my business for that year? I was on the hamster wheel. I looked busy. I was creating new programs. I was marketing. I was creating content. I was recording, releasing podcast episodes. I was facilitating short-term events. I ran my first ever heart-centered business conference. And yet, once again, the product that brought in the most money was the one that I ignored. Running on the hamster wheel can look different for different people. So it might be that you tell yourself and me that you're working on your important foundations. But when we look at your foundations, are you doing anything that is going to build upon them? Or are you just pouring bigger and bigger concrete slabs upon which nothing will be built? That is also building foundations. But I would argue that for the size and scale of business that you're building, it's time to stop pouring more concrete and start actually building. How often do you stop and take stock of your strategies, your results, and the direct relationship between the two? I've witnessed people spend the first quarter of this year preparing for results that they've never achieved before, creating client onboarding SOPs and automations when they have never, not yet once, made a sale to a client. Preparing sales pages for an online program that they have spent a year creating without ever knowing if someone is going to buy that online program. And I have already seen this year 2 people launch new products that made 0 sales. Looking back at their year in 2025, they would tell me that they have been very productive, they have been building important foundations, they have been preparing for launch. But ultimately, if all of that work amounts to nothing, are they really moving forward? Are they really building a business? Are they really generating results? Ultimately, those online programs, those new offerings can and may become really profitable, really sustainable parts of those businesses. But I would argue that at this point, we have no evidence that a single step forward has been made. And I want to be clear that I don't say these things to make you feel like there's something wrong. I don't say these things to put fear in you that perhaps you've got it all wrong and all of your work is going to amount to nothing. Because we can make it work. We can move it forward. We can create momentum. But the first step to ensuring that we're going to do something differently is to identify the problem in the first place. Given that we just had the end of quarter one, I invite you to have a little bit of a reflection on what you did in Q1 of this year. If you were to write a giant list of all the actions you took, all of the tasks you completed, all of the assets that you built, all of the posts that you wrote, all of the content that you created, all of the website updates that you did, all the emails that you sent, everything that you did, the calls you ran, the systems you set up, the automations you experimented with, the platforms you explored, the research that you did, the study that you did, the modules that you learned, if you were to write every single thing you did in quarter one down, every single step that you took towards building this business that you so desperately want to grow and to thrive and to be sustainable and profitable, if you wrote down every single thing that you did in quarter one of this year, hand on heart, how many of them could you confidently say have contributed to the results that you are now seeing in quarter two? How many of them could you hand on heart say were the right steps, the right strategies, the right tasks that you needed to be doing at that point in time to maximize the short and long-term growth of your business? And if in hearing me ask these questions, if in thinking about all of the work that you did and all of the reasons why you're feeling a little tired as we step into quarter two, if in hearing all of that, you're starting to wonder whether you really do know what the 20% of effort you put in is that generates 80% of your results, if you're starting to wonder if you've neglected that 20% to go and focus on something else, if you are unsure whether your strategy, your actions, your tasks, and your workload are moving you forward or just keeping you busy, then this is an important moment of reckoning. This is an important thing for you to stop and recognize and make different decisions. Get clear on exactly what your strategy is for quarter two, because the world needs us. The world needs you. Your potential clients who are out there struggling need you. They need you to stop faffing about with busy work that doesn't get you anywhere, with preparing for things that are never going to eventuate, with building things that you have no idea whether anyone actually wants them or not, with making up reasons why no one has bought from you in a while and solving those reasons that are all made up in your head. It is time for us to get real. It is time for us to get clear. What got you here will not get you elsewhere. What got you to this point in time, to this realization, will not change if you do not change something. So my advice to anyone, whether you know if you're on the hamster wheel or you just have a sneaky suspicion that that might be the case, is to embrace, number one, first and foremost, strategic simplicity. For most people that I work with, the first step of what we do together is clarify their most critical strategic direction, their most important marketing and delivery strategies. And I'll be honest with you, it's not a huge portion of their workload. It's one of the most prolific comments that we have popping in the takeoff program. How much relief people feel that they actually can stop doing a bunch of things they thought they had to do and they either were doing with no results or they were blocked about doing because they didn't know how or they couldn't see exactly what it was contributing to their business. When I say strategic simplicity, I mean be ruthless. I mean get hypercritical. Put your rose-colored glasses down on the table and instead look for verifiable evidence and data-driven insight that tells you this is a good strategy and it is contributing to my results. And if the results you are saying it's contributing to are the number of followers you've got online and not the income that you're generating, I would argue that perhaps we need to redefine results. I'll even go one further. If the income that you are generating from those actions is not your highest possible value, then also we need to redefine your results. When I am looking at the opportunity cost of different activities, ideas, and strategies in my business, one of the first things I check in on is this my most simple, straightforward, and sustainable pathway to income? And 2, the maximum income for my time. Strategic simplicity requires absolute discernment. Strategic simplicity means you need to get good at measuring the effectiveness of your strategic choices. Set better benchmarks for the results you're willing to accept for your most precious resource, your time. Yes, when you're first starting your business, when you're unsure of what works, when you're feeling out your different foundational decisions, when you're trying to validate the early stages of your business, some of the things that you'll try may not work. That is absolutely fine. But there are people I am witnessing online who have been in the throw spaghetti at the wall stage of business for years, and enough is enough. What if for the entirety of quarter 2, you picked one strategy to reach new people, one strategy to nurture two-way relationships, one strategy to invite and qualify leads, and one strategy to convert. And for the entire quarter, you were focused on selling a service that achieved one goal. Most people have a clear and defined monthly income goal that they need to achieve in order to feel like they have progressed to the next stage of business. Whether that amount is $2,000 a month, $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, or $50,000 a month, being clear on what that amount is and being diligent, dedicated, and discerning about finding your most streamlined and effective strategy to achieve that income result is the pathway off the hamster wheel. Ultimately, the definition and the pathway is fairly straightforward and simple. If you are working hard and you're not moving measurably closer to your results, you're on the hamster wheel. And if you want to get off it, the first step is to simplify your strategy right down to exactly what you know will get you closer and do nothing else. Nothing else until those things are completed. If you know that you need to follow up with hot leads, but you are distracting yourself with creating reels for Instagram, you are the problem. If you know that you have dozens of people that you could be sending qualifying questions to, that you could be nurturing one-on-one relationships with, who would be the perfect fit for working with you, but you're actively avoiding them and sending passive emails to your entire list in the hopes that maybe they'll read it and maybe they'll take action, you are the problem. If you've got people in your world who are keen to hear about the work that you do, but you keep telling them to wait because you're recording an online course behind the scenes and it's not going to be ready for months, you are the problem. If you're tying yourself in knots trying to create 16 services so that you don't leave anyone behind, but in doing so you haven't helped anyone in months, you are the problem. If you've changed your business name from your personal name to a business name to a new name to 3 different names to one name to a product name, but yet you still haven't actually made meaningful progress forward towards your income goals, you are the problem. If you've jumped from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok to LinkedIn back to Facebook again, and now you're considering getting onto Blue Sky, you are the problem. If you've built your website, rebuilt your website, taken a bunch of photos, thrown out all the photos, you're downloading 16 freebies every single week but completing none of them, if you have decided you're going to have a podcast but you haven't recorded an episode yet, you are the problem. And I realize that this podcast episode is a very different tone to what I normally do. And I realize that it sounds like I'm very frustrated with a lot of people who might be listening to this podcast right now. And the reality is that I am. But my frustration is that I can see so much potential within you. I can see so much change that the world could be experiencing right now if you could just get out of your head and get focused. I want you to get your money. I want you to achieve your goals. I know the world will be better off when you are better off. I know that with a little bit extra resourcing, you could get off the cortisol and adrenaline train, actually have a good night's sleep for once, and start looking after not only yourself, but the people you love and who are important to you. So if you're ready to get your money, I think it's time that you got off the hamster wheel. I think it's time that you take a let's make it a short, hard look at yourself, right? Let's not waste time here. Let's not waste more time trying to figure this out. It's simple. If you don't have clarity on what your exact strategy is to get you to your money, then you need to get that clear. And instead of saying, will this work or won't this work, decide on your strategy and start diligently finding out how to make it work. We can make any dang strategy work. We absolutely can. We can make any of these things work if you see them through long enough and diligently implement, review, and refine to improve that strategy before you throw it out and jump to another one, or even worse, half-ass it and jump to another one. And add another 16 things to your plate before the end of quarter 2 and wind up in quarter 3 twice as burnt out with just as little to show for it. Over the coming month, I'm going to be sharing short, sharp videos on these particular issues. I've identified the top reasons why people are keeping themselves stuck on the hamster wheel and what to do about it. And I am releasing all of them ungated onto the internet. Now, if you would like to sign up to be able to grab all of these and get every single one as they're released, all you need to do is come to the show notes of today's episode over at tashcorbin.com/525, and we'll have the link there for you to register so that you can grab each and every one of these videos. Enough is enough. Yes, the world makes me angry right now. Yes, the political landscape makes me very angry right now. Injustice, unfairness, inequality are making me very angry right now. There's only so much that we can do right now to stop very powerful, very privileged, very self-absorbed 1%ers from pillaging and plundering the world right now. From big old D swinging, right? There's only so much that we can do to change what's going on there. But we have so much power and so much capability to get wealth and financial security and financial sustainability in your hands. Not only that, with money, you can change people's lives for the better. With your services, you can make people's lives easier. You can help people to access their income goals. You can help people to have deeper, more fulfilling, more connected relationships. I know what your businesses are. And I absolutely wish that they were far more successful than they are. But unfortunately, I do not have the power to run everyone's businesses. All I can do is point a giant flashlight at exactly what I am seeing right now and encourage you with my entire heart, body, mind, and soul to please stop running on this hamster wheel. Please stop falling for the rhetoric that you need to do more, add more strategy, use more complexity, make more effing funnels, and instead stop. Get off the hamster wheel. Look at your most powerful next 5 steps and take those dang steps. And if you come up with an excuse or a distraction or a reason, go and get those videos, watch them, and deal with it. tashcorbin.com/525 is the link that you need. I apologize for my tone, but I do not apologize for the message. Until next time, I cannot wait to see you shine. And just can we take a moment to really let that land? I cannot wait. I cannot wait. Please don't make me wait any longer. I need to see you shining. Seeing you shine is what gives me hope that this world is going to turn itself around. Seeing you shine is what gives me hope that we are not doing this as a tiny little minority few. Seeing you shine gives me hope that we can be in this together. Seeing you shine gives me hope that we are not going to leave these dick rocket making idiots in charge. Seeing you shine is my last hope. So please, when I say I cannot wait to see you shine, please hear me and know I mean it, real hard. So time to start shining, okay? Brighter. No, wait, brighter. Deal? Brighter. Thank you. Bye.